Um, it's first and foremost, architecture is something that organizes space, um, but it's also a very collaborative thing. It's a thing that organizes space, but and is able to create comprehensive environments that link different expertise and at different scales. Architecture is also it's a product, but also a process. So it's something that engages on the material level, on economic level, political and social. So it touches kind of all of these aspects.
What can architecture do?
Um, well, architecture is always a result of some kind of a mood or like a direction that is, you know, embodied. It's usually a reflection of a society in some form or another. Sometimes it's top down, sometimes it's bottom up, but in any case, it's a result of these kind of processes. And depending on this kind of direction, um, it's something that in itself can direct the resources and the materials, but also kind of the energies needed to achieve like a certain set of goal and have the impact it intended, but of course sometimes unintended. Um, and so the direction, as I said, is a kind of reflection of society, and how the resources are used has the possibility to impact kind of their environment that the architecture is set in. Um, Also, and probably most importantly today, is that architecture is something that has the biggest impact on the environment. At the same time as being a tool to create well-being and to improve well-being. And so, and also it's something that has the potential to create dialogue around itself. So, for example, in our project, Azatlık Square, where there was an extensive participatory process with professionals, but also residents of a city. Um, there were certain kind of intentions that people had certain expectations of what the square should be like, and in this case, we were able through dialogue to kind of change certain opinions, but also to kind of improve our own process and improve our own design. Um, so, yeah, I think that would be it.
What is your architectural position?
Position. Probably the simplest way to put it is to say that we always aim to achieve the maximum with the minimal needs. And by the maximum, what I mean by that is the quality of environment, quality of um, uh, use of materials, but also a diversity and also the adaptation of a space over time. So also looking into the future. Um, for this reason, we also really prefer in our practice to work on complex projects that require us to look at different scales and through the lenses of different scales at the site or at the issue at hand. And in order for these projects to also have the biggest impact, so to be kind of catalysts in a place where they are.
What is your design method?
Um, I would say that because of the diversity of projects that we work on at different scales, it's less of a method and more of an approach. And the approach is always a strategic master plan. So whether that is actually a master plan or a piece of architecture or a door handle, we're always looking at it as a kind of strategy for like a bigger plan of a master plan. And what that means basically is that first and foremost, we do kind of very extensive, comprehensive research that kind of covers a wide spectrum of issues and topics, but also involves different people. as I said before, linking different expertise. And after this kind of point of research, we also create a kind of prioritize. We organize our kind of goals, and from that, often a methodology is born. That is, well, it's not born on its own. Of course, we make it, but we think of it very contextually, depending on the project we're working on. And I think that a lot of the times also that means that through our extensive research, we come across a situation where we feel that the technical brief or the assignment hasn't gone far enough. And so, for example, also on a project right now under construction in Zulte, Belgium, it's an expansion of a factory. The client approached us and asked us to design an office building as part of their expansion. And through this research and in dialogue, we really realized that what actually is needed is a more comprehensive planning of a campus, which is something that the factory hadn't thought about before. They've always had this kind of additive process of design, just adding a building when they need it. But we kind of looked at the whole picture holistically, and we're actually able to improve not only the factory itself in terms of its kind of appearance, but also its engagement with the community and its in its context, and also for the visitors, but also to improve it, yeah, for the context that it's in. So.
And what is the future of architecture?
It's very hard to say at the moment, considering how tumultuous the times are in the world. But I think it's kind of in line with what I've already said in terms of kind of, I think more and more comprehensive approaches are needed that engage different kinds of people. It's no longer kind of the classical traditional sense of a sole architect who comes in and kind of says, oh, like here we will have an avenue and here we will have whatever else, at the expense of the community's engagement and kind of like the participation of the entire communities that are being impacted. So I think it's more of this, and definitely considerations of resources and how we use them. And I think that here architecture can actually do the most, because it already does the most in terms of damage. So it can only do the most in terms of impact in some positive way that would contribute to these issues.